Hello friends, it's me on another episode of A Date with Kiki. I am Kiki, your host. A Date with Kiki is a platform where we celebrate men, boys and women who are taking their time to raise godly men. The purpose of A Date with Kiki is to give men a platform to mentor younger men or teach the other men who are willing to find and understand godliness, manliness and purpose. So, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be spending time celebrating motherhood, particularly mothers who are taking their time to raise boys. And today, my guests are Tolu and his mom, Folakemi. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to A Date with Kiki.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Folakemi is one of 5 children. She's a mother and she's been married for 20 years. She's a mother to 2 teenage boys and one of them, 2 teenage kids, not boys. And one of them is Tolu, who is here with me. I'm so used to saying 2 teenage boys because I've got 2 teenage boys. Yes, Folakemi also runs a program for teenagers or for the younger generation, which is called the Called Out Ones. And I met her on the platform for women, the women conference, women breakfast meeting that we do every year. Now, so Folakemi, welcome to A Date with Kiki. So nice to have you here. We've been doing this all around and nice time to take it to the world. You're so welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Tolu, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I've told the viewers some things about you, but do you want to tell us more about what you do with the younger generation and with women?
Well, I run a camp in the summer, a 3-day camp for teenagers where we just we talk about life, we talk about all the challenges and just to encourage them and to let them know that life is not as difficult as it looks and that it's possible for them to do good no matter the circumstances. I do like teenagers because I had a really difficult I had a difficult time as a teenager, and when I look at them today, I think no, they shouldn't be left to just wander
To live themselves,
to live life by themselves without any guidance. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's very key. But we had it tough. I grew up in Nigeria and it was tough. So when I think about our children growing up in the Western world, I kind of appreciate what they're going through as well. Having to strike the balance between the African background and the Western background. Yes, I can see Tolu nodding. Don't worry, we feel you guys. We're not.
True. Yes.
Yeah. So, how about the women conference, the breakfast meeting for women?
The Positive Impact Breakfast Conference. We wanted to do something different, especially on the Saturday before Mother's Day. I have always been a believer in the fact that women need to be celebrated, and I realized that Mother's Day was always about telling women to be virtuous, to be good, which is important. But then I thought that women actually need to be looked after, because once the woman is fine, then the home is fine. So we started off this breakfast conference just to talk about the taboo subjects, the subjects people don't usually talk about in church. We started off talking about mental health. And I don't think the church should shy away from mental health. We should talk about these things because they're here, and the women are here amongst us who are going through those things. So yes, I am more interested in talking about the things people don't talk about. So that's the aim of the breakfast conference. We want to raise spiritual women who are sensible and who are strong enough to go out in the marketplace and make a difference.
Yeah, that's key and that's very interesting. I was opportunity to be a part of that breakfast meeting, I think for the first time last year, and it was a wow one. Other than learning how to handle myself and being able to navigate through my mental stress, I also had a lot of fun. Good food there. So yeah, that might be a tip. The next one is coming up on the 30th of March, right?
Yes.
So guys, look forward to that.
Yeah, we'll be glad to have you.
So yes, so our first question, can you tell us about the first time you had a look at Tolu's face, your first glance at your son? Because he's your first, right?
He is my
So
first.
how did you feel
Right.
at that first moment?
That moment I can't describe because Tolu came with a lot of drama. It's a miracle actually because my blood pressure shot up towards the end, and I was walking out of the hospital with a prescription. My consultant just happened to meet me on the way and said, "Why do you have a prescription? Let me see." And then he said, "Oh, you're on admission." So I was on admission for like 3 days. The night he was born, I had like 7 consultants in the delivery room because of the level of my blood pressure. And he was tired because I'd been on medication. So they whipped him out of the room to go and revive him. So actually waiting to see him and that first glance, I was just like, God, I am grateful.
Finally.
I'm grateful that we both made it.
Yeah, wow. That's a good one. Congratulations. Sometimes we take that journey for granted because you go in there and you come out and you're like, hooray, I'm here.
Until he said, he said to the doctor, she could have dropped dead.
Wow.
I was like, wow. It wasn't something I was expecting, but
thank God you went in that day again as well.
Yeah.
And thank God for Tolu, who came with those dramas. So after the drama, how has the journey been? Has the drama continued? Has Tolu been, okay, let me allow mommy, I've given it up?
Well, raising a son is the grace of God. I'll just put it that way. And it's been an interesting journey, I must say. We've had our share of ups and downs. We've had our shares of, you don't like me, you're not listening to me. But all in all, it's been a loving relationship, I must admit. Yes.
So at the point where you get, because I've got 2 boys as well, and I think I feel we understand each other when it comes to these things. So at the point where you get you don't like me, you don't listen to me, how do you handle those beats, particularly with your son?
Initially, it hurts a lot, but I think they don't come with a manual or something to guide you. I am thankful that I have a very strong mother. I have 2 brothers, and my mom is a strong woman. I sort of took my parenting cue from her, and it has helped a lot, coupled with being a Christian and knowing God and going back to pray. When it got tough, I mean, we had our share of raised voices and, me trying to be the disciplinarian. But what the grace God has given me is that I think we both operate on the same sort of wavelength. So eventually one of us will calm down. And it's usually him, and he'll come and say, sorry, but mommy, I didn't mean it that way. And we would sort of talk about it and let it go. And I do realize that I'm very lucky when it comes to that, because I've watched my friends, I've watched boys around me, and I realize that for my son to come back and say, sorry, Mom, it might be the next morning he'll just say, oh, Mom, I'm sorry. And we will have a hug and we would sort it out.
That's good. I'm going to ask you, Tolu, are those times when you come back to say sorry? Because, for me, I think I wouldn't totally agree, but out there, we have this belief that men don't like saying sorry, guys don't like saying sorry. So why do you go back to say sorry to mom, and how does it make you feel?
I think boys or man's relationship with his mother is very, very important. Because when there's no relationship with your mom, you'll find it very hard to relate with women outside of your house. And that's why some men actually struggle to find a wife, because they fail to understand the emotions of a woman. And me going back to say sorry, sometimes it's out of a case of, let me just go and calm her down so she doesn't start shouting again. But another time, you need, sometimes with boys do step out of line, and you need to go and apologize for her to understand that you're actually sorry. And yeah.
So, okay, that's good. Now it makes me understand why they come to tell me sorry. Okay, Mom, it's not exactly because we're wrong, but just calm down.
Oh yeah, sometimes I used to say to him, that sorry just means, Mom, be quiet. Oh, Mom, I didn't mean that.
My second son will come and say, Mom, I'm sorry, I love you, right? We're good. And you know I love you. And I'm like, just go. But for the older one, he'll come, oh, I'm sorry, and it will make sure you laugh. But now I think I'm understanding from Tolu that it's not exactly that he understands that it was wrong or accepts it. But then again, it's a plus to you. Well done for that, because you understand, you're taking your time to understand the emotions of women. It's not necessary. I don't think you would say it's that women are weird or there's something wrong with them. But what do you think?
I think it's just to maybe build up a relationship with a strong woman first, so that you can actually go out and build relationships with other people.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, well done. Well done. From this age, you're keen about relationships. Yeah. Well done. So, another question I want to ask you is around the called out ones. You work with teenage boys on the group as well. And how has it been with them? What role do you feel in their lives? You're not a biological mother, but what role do you feel as a mother in their lives as well? And how do you reach out to them?
Well, with called out ones, I feel that young people have got to have a safe blanket, someone they can say anything to. And I realized that with our children growing up here, it's very difficult for them. Some of them can't even say things to their parents, and they haven't got anybody else around them. And I realized that a lot of them will talk to their friends. So even as it is, I still struggle to get them to open up. But we do things like, okay, write your ideas on a piece of paper, or write your questions on a piece of paper, and then from there I can fill the polls and we can start talking about things. And then eventually somebody might come at the end sometime later and say, oh, that thing we were talking about. And then we will be able to talk about it. So I just felt it's important that they're living in a culture shock. They're trying to merge our culture with the British culture, and they go to church, which a lot of children around and adults around here don't. So they're juggling a lot of things, and I can understand how lost they sometimes feel.
Wow, that's deep. And I think you just said half of my heart out there, because a lot of us don't put ourselves in their position. I was saying to someone some time ago that growing up in Africa, we all go to church. We all are Africans and we all are from Christian homes. But for our children, that's not what they have.
True.
So it was easy for us, and a lot easier for us, to identify ourselves as Christians. So Tolu, back to you. How has it been as a Christian boy amongst your peers?
In primary school, it was very, very difficult, I'd say, because when you are fresh into the new environment, it's a case of you want to impress everyone. But then when you're coming from home, they're always telling you, remember where you came from, remember who your family is, remember the faith that you believe in. So when you're growing up around children that don't go to church, or who don't have, I would say, strong role models as parents to look up to, you're now stuck in an environment where it feels like you have to be quite careful in what you say, and how you deliver what you say, and who you talk to and who you trust. When I started growing up and got into secondary school, I found it much easier. Maybe because I was going to a Catholic school, so I'm surrounded by similar faces that I'm used to seeing, and also similar personalities. So I'm able to even talk to people about it. But you do get the odd question of, since you're a Christian, I'm guessing you don't do this. So it feels like you're being watched most of the time. And because you're being watched, it's not a case of, most of the time they won't go to the Bible to find what you've done wrong. They'll go to your personality, that if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be doing this, but everyone's watching you. So I think it's mainly being careful of your delivery to people and your personality and how you portray yourself.
Wow, well done. Well done. I'm glad to hear you're able to portray yourself as a Christian. And like I said to my boys, it really doesn't matter what the next person think, quote and unquote, but you're just who you are, and you've got to be proud of who you are. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break now and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Dates with Kiki, and I'm still here with my guests Folake and Tolu, her awesome son. So, Folake, back to you. How has the journey been, the motherhood journey to a son? I won't call him awesome now because I know there's some moments where how has those tough moments, how has it been? How have you been able to navigate through them?
Well, it's been an interesting journey. I wouldn't sit here and say it's been an easy journey, but I am just thankful to God that I've had guidance from God, and I've had role models, people who have brought up children in this country who have done well. I mean, the tough times were tough. The tough times were tough. The tough times were, I mean, instances when, things are being copied from school, and you just think, but I didn't teach my child that. I haven't brought him up to do that. And we've gone back home and we've talked about it. We've lectured. I mean, we've said, look, you can't afford to make these choices. I mean, there are times you sit and you cry and you say, God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to turn to? Sometimes, because I don't want to worry my parents are prayer people. Sometimes I just say, they keep asking me. I say, please pray for Tolu. And there was a point in time when he was always getting so angry, and he'll be really angry, and he'll stomp upstairs. He'll have arguments with his sister, and I just kept thinking, but then after a while I thought, actually, having a falling out with your sibling, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't have to bring up perfect children. I have to bring them up to be able to cope with life, to be able to sort issues out and to understand one another. So as they're making room for, okay, that's fine, it's okay, you're angry now, we will talk about it when you're not as angry. And then we take it from there. I mean, sometimes you just let some issues go. So I learned actually as I got older to pick my battles. I learned to pick my battles. I said to my colleague, I said, look, I will pick the battle of education. I'll pick the battle of your relationship with God. That's important. Well, if your room is not very tidy, okay, I probably will be able to live with that. So it's just learning to understand who you've got. I know he's a very sensitive person, or he might appear not to be so. So, and I'm careful what I say to him, because whatever seed you sow into the life of a child, it goes a long way. So yes, learning to, I mean, it wasn't perfect to start with, but I guess as we grow older, we understand better, and we're able to balance things.
And I remember one of the breakfast meeting we had where we're talking about personalities. I think we concluded that you and Tolu got the same strong.
It was such hilarious. I think everybody in that meeting was looking at us because we just had so I thought, no wonder we were always having clashes.
Yeah, I remember. I think I almost separated both of you because we're like in a classroom of friends.
Of young people. When I'm just with them, we just have a big laugh. Well, that was an eye opener actually, because I've always thought, you're more melancholy than anything. And then we sat there and filled the form, and we looked like, really? I didn't realize you changed as you grew.
My son will say, I'm the male you, mom. I'm the male you. But it's good to laugh over those things now. Those times, those challenging times can be really challenging, and you'll be wondering, God, where are you? I didn't know this is what I was signing up to. I remember I've always said I want to be a mother of boys. Growing up, I've always prayed to have 4 boys. Yes. Wow. People go, wow, really? Yeah. And I'm grateful to God I've got boys. I'm a mother of boys. But there are those moments where I'll be like, okay, I need a daughter
to soften everything.
But then when they come back to something that, I think it's just about how you relate with them, which I think you've done a good job. I've had a couple of meetings with Tolu. We've worked together. Tolu is one of the boys for real anyway. I think you just had to mention that. Yeah, and you know, he's one of the awesome boys who just have that understanding, that open mind to love, to understand and be able to share his knowledge, which I'm proud of that. Well done, Tolu. Yes. So, Mom, those times where you cry and you wonder what's happening, how has Dad fit in? Or how did Dad fit in?
Right, Dad's always there. And we've learned to balance things. Yes, my husband's he's a disciplinarian, and he's
like every African father.
Every African, he's a typical African father. He knows what he wants, he expects of his children, and he doesn't stop. And sometimes he gives me that look of, what's wrong with you? Why are you behaving like that? Why would you let them, why would you let them do that? Why would you let them
scold as well?
Oh, I get the scolding where there are 3 children in the house and 1 dad. But so to speak, he brings in the calming factor, what's the word I'm looking for? He brings in that factor of, the constancy. He has a good high standard, which sometimes I balk under, and I think, oh God help these children. But he has helped us to navigate the difficult times when I see his foresight in things that I would have made some wrong decisions. But when my husband explains things, I just think, okay, actually, I think you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
So he helps me to balance and to remain focused when it comes to bringing up the children. And they know that, and we operate on the fact that if they ask me for something, I say, ask your dad, so that we are on the same page and the children don't play us against one another, because we're almost
very intelligent.
They are very intelligent. Yeah. And now that they realize that, you're not getting away with that, you're going to have to ask that. They sometimes they just go, oh, don't worry. I don't
when they know that.
Don't worry, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
When they know that, of course, the answer is going to be no.
No.
So having my husband there, it's a blessing.
Oh, praise God.
It's a blessing.
I like that. And that just reminds me of my father and even my husband, because sometimes we sit back and tend to judge the men and the things they do. But if we look at it closely, we understand that they're a blessing, particularly to the lives of our children. If you've got boys, you would understand what I'm saying. Having that man factor there, that father personality who watches the child, who takes responsibility for the child. I remember growing up, it's my dad that was the disciplinarian, and even when my dad passed away, my mom said he trained his children, and I think that's a good thing to say about fathers. Train your children, irrespective of how anybody feels. We're not saying you should be too hard on them, but
be involved.
But be involved, exactly. Yes. And we see it in the life of the children that their fathers are involved. So yes, we're celebrating motherhood, we're celebrating Mother's Day. We love our mothers, but we want our fathers to be involved in raising our sons, because they are men. They're going to be men tomorrow, and they need men to look up to. Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Uncle Tolu. One question I'd like to ask you. When those difficult moments come with mom, where you think, oh, she's not listening, she's just not being, quote and unquote, on my side or reasonable here, how do you navigate through it?
I usually speak to my sister. I say she's the soft, she's someone I can talk to. She's very calm in what she does. Sometimes I just tell her everything that's happened, and I tell her how frustrated I am, and she always says, don't worry, that this is only happening because we're a family and people are going to clash anyway, but she's someone I'm able to go to all the time when I have a problem. But sometimes I either wait maybe a day just for it to calm over, and next thing you know, I'm talking to my mom again without me noticing. Because sometimes you make up your mind as a person okay, this person's annoyed me, I'm not going to talk to them anymore. So then you'd realize, even before you go to pray in the morning, I've already spoken to my mom, or we've already eaten and laughed together. The problem is already gone. So it's sometimes I think it's just the grace of God that allows things to blow over quickly, because as a boy you don't want to be fighting with your moms. It's just someone that you need to be there all the time for you to continue.
Wow, thank you. Well done for acknowledging the grace of God at this early stage in life. And then again, another thing I want to point out to all the men out there is something Tolu said about allowing things to calm down and taking charge of things, deliberately walking out of it. There is an issue, but it doesn't mean we're not families. We're going to laugh over it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with it and eat together. Again, Tolu talked about talking to his sister. For me, that's being accountable. You know you owe it to her, and she's your sister. She's someone you can trust. That's another thing a lot of our boys or our men do not pay attention to. Being accountable to someone. I remember when I was going to get married, I listened to a message and the pastor said, if your husband does not have an accountability partner, then run away from him. Men should be able to have somebody they're accountable to, somebody you can open up to, talk to, and lay it bare with, because we women, we do that a lot, and that's why we're able to talk to ourselves, tell ourselves some truth. So I think men need that as well, and well done for learning that very early. Well done. I'm actually proud of you. Boys, for real.
I mean, that has been an awesome influence on his life. Boys, for real. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now finally to mom, before we carry on, one word to the mothers out there, particularly the single mothers who are doing this journey by themselves.
Right. I think to start with, your values are important. Like, Tolu mentioned when he was talking about, parents reminding you about, remember, I know when we were growing up, it was remember the son of who you are. But I think because we have children growing up in this environment, or wherever you are growing up in the world, things have changed. Let your child understand your values and why. Okay, so you say to them, for instance, if you value savings, you say to them, we're saving money because we don't want to borrow. So they understand the reason why you're saving. And you say to them, when we have, I mean, even to a 2-year-old, they're cross. You can say to them, I know you're cross now, but when you're done, we're going to talk about it. So they understand that conflict resolution is part of your family values. You don't leave things hanging. I think if we do that from the beginning, and inculcate into our children the fact that I'm listening, feel free to say what you want to say. I don't have to agree with you, but we can agree to disagree. It doesn't matter. No, letting them understand that I don't always have to be right. You can be right sometimes, and learning to apologize, to say, look, I was wrong. You were right. I think it helps the children to trust us better, and to to start believing that we have their backs, and that we will be there for them.
And it also helps them to open up to us when they have difficult moments. Remember, my son will go, I trust this adult, I don't trust this adult. And it all starts from you being sincere with them. Like you said, I'm not always right. Let's talk about it. I might be right, but
and it's difficult as an African. We've been brought up to look like to behave like we are the authority figure,
and we're always
the
right.
adult is always right. But it's not true. It's not true. We're not always right. And when we're not right, let's admit we're not right. So the children actually can see the human side of us and accept us for who we are.
Thank you very much. Now, Tolu, to you finally, I wanted to look your mom in the eye and tell her something beautiful about the journey you've been on with her.
I really appreciate everything you do for me. Every time, even when Dad wasn't able to take me to maybe football, you'd be there to take me. When I needed to be picked up from school, you'd be there. I appreciate even the things that you do for me. People continuously ask me, how does your mom do it when your dad is away? But you always carry me and my sister everywhere, on your shoulders, on your back. anytime we needed you, you'll be there. Anytime we called you, you'd always pick up. Anytime I was in trouble, you were always there to sort it out for me, and I constantly appreciate, even though I don't always say it all the time, I always appreciate everything you do for me because I know you're bringing up someone who's also going to appreciate his wife. So I thank you so much for that.
Oh, I love that beat. I love that beat. Well done, Tolu. Well done. And I look forward to that awesome lady because I'm one of the mothers of the group, aren't I?
She has a lot of lists to take.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining me. It's been a very beautiful chat and I've really enjoyed myself a lot. Well done, Mom, for all you do. And to celebrate Mother's Day, we've got a little gift for you.
Oh, wow.
And here you go. Happy Mother's Day to
you. That's pretty.
We hope you like it.
Thank you so much.
So you're getting the first Mother's Day gift
Yes,
from
I'm
us.
going to keep it unopened until Mother's Day. Thank you so much, Kiki.
You're welcome. And well done.
Yeah,
thank you. Continue to do the great work you're doing. Love all of our boys are enjoying what you do, and they will continue to look up to you. I look up to you as a mom. You're one of my mentors. Yes, please keep it up, and I'm sure you're proud of it. My sons as well, because they're your children.
I'm proud of all the boys. All the wonderful children. Our children are signs and wonders.
Amen.
And they're possessing the gates of our enemies in this land.
Amen. And continue to do the great work you do today. Thank you so much for being a part of A Days with Kiki. I'll see you next time. Love you.